What if I told you that in just 72 hours, a historic vote could determine the future of an entire nation? But here's the kicker. It's not about the usual politics, the evidence, or even the scandal. It's about something far bigger. A federal judge has just done something no one has done in 249 years. This is a decision that could shake the core of America. It's the kind of moment you don't just watch, you feel it. Stick around because this decision might change everything. Now, you might be wondering, how did we get here? What happened today that could change everything? Let's rewind a bit. This isn't just a political battle. It's a moment where the very foundations of the system are being tested. A federal judge, Tanya Chutkan, has formally referred criminal conduct by a former president of the United States directly to Congress, and not just any referral. This is a demand for immediate impeachment proceedings. And this isn't a minor legal hiccup. This is a major escalation, one that has never happened in American history. Not during Watergate, not with Clinton, not even with either of the previous Trump impeachments. Think about that. 249 years of American history, and no one has ever pushed the system to this point. So why now? Judge Chutkan's decision today was nothing short of explosive. At 3:17 p.m. Eastern Time, she handed down a 47-page legal document that could redefine accountability in America. Why? Because it wasn't just another routine decision. She didn't just point out violations, she named them. 14 documented violations of court orders, witness intimidation, and blatant obstruction of justice. But here's the twist. This wasn't just about bad behavior. This was about something far more serious, something that put the very administration of justice at risk. And you know what? She didn't hesitate. When all the usual tools failed, fines, contempt charges, even bail revocation, Judge Chutkan chose to act. She told Congress flat out, enough is enough. And the implications, well, they go beyond just this case. This is about the integrity of the entire judicial system. What happens when a defendant powerful enough to ignore the rules gets away with it? The entire system could come crashing down. Now, here's where it gets even more intense. The stakes couldn't be higher. You see, this isn't just an isolated incident. It's part of a larger pattern of defiance. Think back to Watergate or even to Nixon's Saturday Night Massacre. Presidents and powerful figures have tried to sidestep accountability before, but never has the judicial system been tested like this. Judge Chutkan's actions today have set off a chain reaction. When a judge comes forward and says, this defendant is a threat to justice itself, you know the system is in serious jeopardy. But here's the problem. We've seen it before. Powerful people breaking the rules, facing no real consequences. It's becoming normalized. And if that continues, it's not just one man's fate at risk. It's the credibility of the entire system. And once that cracks, the trust we place in our institutions starts to vanish. But let's dig deeper into the evidence, because it's absolutely damning. This isn't just a game of he said, she said. No, the evidence Judge Chutkan handed to Congress is crystal clear. 14 separate violations, each one time-stamped, each one documented with screenshots, phone records, and court transcripts. It's not just behavior that's been ignored. It's behavior that's been planned, executed, and even discussed on tape. This is where it shifts from reckless to intentional. We have recorded conversations of Trump openly plotting to defy court orders. This is not speculation. This is fact. And that detail right there changes everything. It's no longer just about the actions. It's about the intent behind them. Intent to obstruct justice, to manipulate witnesses, and to undermine the entire legal system. And when the evidence is this strong, there's no denying it anymore. And then, just when you thought things couldn't escalate further, they did. In rapid succession, more and more developments piled on. First, Judge Chutkan's referral sent shockwaves through Congress. Then suddenly, articles of impeachment that had been sitting quietly in committee for months started to move. And it didn't stop there. The political landscape began to shift almost immediately. A wave of Republicans, moderates who had defended Trump in the past, started to break ranks. Representatives who once called these investigations a witch hunt now found themselves publicly calling for action. In a matter of hours, the number of co-sponsors for impeachment surged from 87 to 231, but that's a majority in the House. Impeachment is no longer a question of if, it's now about how soon. And here's the kicker, the Republican Party is splintering in real time. What happens if this continues? The entire political structure could be upended. Now let's talk about the human side of this, because it's easy to get lost in the legalese. But this is about real people, and it's starting to affect them in a big way. Think about the average American right now. How do you explain to your kids why a former president is openly calling for armed resistance, or why National Guard troops are surrounding the Capitol, or why the entire country is on edge? This isn't just a legal fight anymore. It's impacting trust in the very system that's supposed to protect us. The economy, it's already reacting. Markets hate uncertainty, and when the political system is in chaos, the ripple effect is felt worldwide. The future becomes unpredictable. Investors pull back. Hiring freezes, interest rates shift. This isn't hypothetical, it's happening now. And then there's safety. Security isn't just a precaution, it's a necessity. Law enforcement is gearing up because the threat feels real, and the memory of January 6th is still fresh. For families in Washington, the next 72 hours will be filled with tension, fear, and uncertainty. But let's step beyond the headlines for a moment and think about what's really happening here. This isn't just a fight between Republicans and Democrats. It's about the very mechanisms that allow this country to function. The systems of power that are supposed to keep everyone in check, they're cracking. We've got a federal judge who, at great risk, stepped up to say, the system is broken and I can't fix it alone. Why? Because the stakes aren't just political. They're about the survival of the judicial system itself. Every time a defendant defies the courts without consequence, it sends a message. The rules don't matter. And once the rules don't matter, the whole structure falls apart. What Judge Chutkan did today wasn't just about Donald Trump. It was about saving the integrity of the courts and the Constitution. This is bigger than one man or one political party. It's about whether we can rely on the systems designed to keep our democracy intact. And right now, those systems are under threat. Now let's talk about what happens next, because this is where the uncertainty kicks into overdrive. There are multiple possible paths ahead, and none of them are simple. Scenario one, impeachment passes and the Senate convicts. It's a long shot, but it's not impossible. If more evidence emerges during the Senate trial, or if Trump's rhetoric continues to escalate, Republicans could turn. But even if that happens, it's just the beginning. Trump would be permanently barred from holding federal office again. His political career would be over, a complete collapse. Then there's scenario two, impeachment passes, but the Senate acquits. This is the most likely outcome based on history. But even in that case, the damage would be done. The evidence would be out in the open for everyone to see. The public record would forever carry the weight of these proceedings. Scenario three, the 25th Amendment. This is quietly being discussed behind the scenes. If the vice president and a majority of the cabinet deem Trump unfit to serve, they could remove him immediately. But here's the twist. This is happening in parallel with another possibility, additional criminal indictments. Federal prosecutors are still working, and new charges could drop at any time. The consequences of these investigations might land while impeachment is still unfolding. These are parallel tracks, and they could collide at any moment. Whatever happens in the next few days, the political landscape has already changed. If Trump is impeached for the third time, he becomes a historical figure, defined not by achievements, but by accountability proceedings. 3 impeachments. Multiple criminal charges, a federal judge formally declaring him a danger to justice, and even if he's acquitted in the Senate, that doesn't mean he's in the clear. He remains politically exposed with ongoing criminal cases that won't just disappear. What's clear is that there's no going back to normal after this. Whether he's convicted, acquitted, or removed by the 25th Amendment, the next few years will be consumed by trials, appeals, and investigations. And remember, none of these scenarios are mutually exclusive. Several of them could play out simultaneously. Trump is facing multiple threats, all converging at once. And in the next 72 hours, we'll see which path this takes. The question is, will the system hold or will it fracture completely? Whatever happens, one thing is certain. America is about to face the most significant test of its institutions in generations.